Have you ever tried to quit a bad habit or tried to start a new one and have fallen flat on your face? If you have, you're just like me, just like Rich, and just like the rest of us. And it's probably because you didn't know this one thing, which is what we're going to be working through on today's episode of Rich to Wealthy. And that is exactly how I started the episode. Stop trying to quit your bad habit and stop trying to create a good habit. And the key word there is trying, because a habit actually requires no trying whatsoever. Literally, what a habit is an automation in your body, in your brain, that allows you to do something essentially effortlessly. A bad habit is pretty effortless. You might wind up in the Starbucks drive-thru, not even remember how you got there or how you got your coffee, and be like, take that first sip, you're like, oh, so good. But you're like, I don't remember any of the events that led up to this moment. That is an automation. Your brain takes you to go do something automatically. It doesn't require any thought, doesn't require any effort, doesn't require trying. Most people are trying to quit a bad habit or trying to start a good habit. Ooh, we got some sirens going off out
You
here.
got it.
This is exciting.
Somebody's in bad habits. Yeah, right. They're getting caught for their bad habit.
That's great.
Or
Or they're in a good habit of stopping crime. I don't know, both.
Yeah,
There's always two sides to every coin.
that's right.
But let's talk about this,
Yeah.
because there's actually something that precedes, that comes before a habit.
Yeah. So true. Great lead in. This is going to be a fun subject. Think of it this way. Go New Year's.
Yep.
Everybody has what?
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, I'm going to start this habit, right? I'm going to try really hard. And statistics say within like 3 weeks, 70% of people have already stopped, have not moved into that.
Yep.
And by the end of the month, most people have obliterated that.
And the reason is because a habit is actually a couple steps down the road. So we look at a habit and we see somebody with a habit and we're like, ooh, I need to go get that habit, right? But the habit is actually a result of something else that they did before. So to just try to go after the habit is often like, it's very comparable to people who say, I want to be wealthy. And so they start dressing like wealthy people, they start spending like wealthy people, and then they end up not being wealthy. It's because they're trying to do the thing that they're seeing happening. They're trying to emulate the results of what wealthy people are doing currently, not knowing that they really need to emulate the results of what wealthy people did when they weren't wealthy to become wealthy. So they need to not do what they're doing now. They need to do what they were doing then. Same thing with a habit. If you're just trying to get into the habit of something, you need to not do what the people are doing now, which is the habit. You need to go back and see, what did they do before to form the habit?
Yeah.
And that is what we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about. So Rich, walk us through this key word, which is, we talked about it before the show, discipline, and how that's kind of the bridge between desire and destination for habits.
You know, as a pastor, one of the things we'll do is encourage the people of our congregation to read through the Bible, right? So what I have discovered is the people that read through the Bible, the majority of them are not people who decided to try to read through the Bible. It's people that reading the Bible is a lifestyle. So in my coaching,
So good.
I teach, what kind of life do you want to have, not what type of habits do you want to have. So I try to drill down into life. What kind of life do you want to have? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? And what I've discovered personally in an area that's very, very important for me is physical health. I've found that all my trying never worked.
It can't.
I tried to go to the gym. I tried to run. I tried to eat right. And then I realized what I need to determine is what type of lifestyle do I want and how do I want to live that? So then you speak of discipline, then it moves into, okay, once I've identified that I want this healthy lifestyle, okay, then the next thing that I do is say, okay, what do I need to do to automate?
Yep.
You brought that word in. I love that word because it means automatic. What do I need to do every day that I become automated in, that automates me into a healthy lifestyle?
Yep.
So then it starts going. So people, you and I have worked through this. People say, I want to get up early. I'm like, well, why do you want to get up early? Who in their right mind wants to get up early?
Yeah, why?
There's got to be a purpose for it, right? So, but if a person has a healthy lifestyle, wants a healthy lifestyle, and then they begin to look at, okay,
what time can I?
well, where does that begin?
Yep.
Okay, it may begin with, I need to get up early so that I can then do this, then I can do this, then I can work out, then I can eat the proper food. Then what happens is pretty soon you find your first 4 hours of the day are automated. You're not even thinking about it.
Yep.
You're up, you're having meditation, you're working out, you're taking vitamins, you're getting hydrated, and all these things that you go on the internet and they tell you you should do, you could knock that off. You could knock that off your list.
Yep.
First thing in the morning, and now it's automated. It's automatic. You don't think about, it's, I'm trying to do, you just go, no, I have a, but remember, you got to have, what is that lifestyle you want?
And there's a very, very, very vital component to creating an automation or a habit. I'm going to use those words because they're the same thing, a habit or an automation. There's a very, very, very vital component required to create a automation or a habit. And that is both true for bad habits and good habits. Anything that is automatic in you has to be both fun and repeatable. If it is not, your body will reject it. And it may not be fun in the beginning.
Good point.
That's why there's the bridge, which is discipline, which we're talking about right now. But it has to become fun later.
Right.
Which is when that automation starts happening. So the only thing.
Yeah, and let me highlight that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hit the gym. at 5:15 every morning.
Yep.
Almost without fail. When I come in the house, going through my whole morning routine, my wife asks me the same thing because she's very gregarious and outgoing and blah, 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 And she's like, honey, did you have fun? And I'm like, I don't even know how to answer that. Is 5:30 in the morning just
at the gym,
just getting your butt kicked? Is that fun? But honestly, I would have to say yes. It's become fun. I like the results that I get from it.
Yep.
I like the feeling. I like the energy that I have throughout the day because I've done that. So I agree with you. Fun and repeatable. And that's why, and to some people that would not be fun.
Right.
So I get that. But to some people do things that are not fun for me.
Yeah.
Okay. And guess what? I don't do it. Some people enjoy in the evening sitting down and reading a book. I have never been a great reader because of that. However, I've discovered ways to be learned. I listen to audiobooks. I'm an audio learner. But some people love to have that open book in front of them, and it's a repeatable habit. So what I try to do too, with my clients is, how can we get the same result that you're looking for? Is there another fun and repeatable habit
For
that
you.
will get for
Yeah.
you that will get you the results that you want?
Yeah, because just like Rich said, you might not like reading a book, but you might like listening to a book. You might not like CrossFit, but you might like pickleball. You might like running. You might like bodybuilding.
There you go.
You will get a dopamine hit from exercise, which is very fun and very repeatable. Now, you also get dopamine hits from Starbucks, from caffeine, from McDonald's, from junk food, which is why that's fun and repeatable. However, in America, it's easier right now. There's less discipline required to go to the drive-through of Starbucks and McDonald's than there is to go through to a gym, sign up, work out, and get the dopamine hit. However, the sustainability and the longevity of the reward of the harder one is longer than the sustainability and longevity of the reward of the easier one, which is pretty much just that's just a principle of life, that the more you put into something, the more you get out of it.
So I'm gonna share my big $1 million secret.
Let's do it.
So as a coach, and this is not me. There's been books written on this, and so, but what I like to say is, really, there's nothing new under the sun.
Correct.
There's nobody.
That's good.
Nobody owns it all. We all take knowledge from different places and use them. So, and I believe I forget his name right now. The author of Atomic Habits,
James Clear.
James Clear.
Yep.
He uses this phrase a lot, but I'm sure it's been used before. It's called habit stacking.
Yep.
I'm telling you, habit stacking has changed many people's lives, because what habit stacking is all about is one habit on another that produces the results that you want. For example, getting up early to go to the gym, to come back, to eat healthy, to hydrate, are all habits that we've wanted to get done in our life before. But if you stack them, then it produces even a greater return and a greater result on what you're on. So it's
the reward is coming faster in larger quantity because you're doing multiple. Yeah,
it is, and it's like you're saying. I'm going to take you back to your word. I love your word, is automation.
Yep.
So what else in your life can be automated that produces results, and you're not even trying?
Yep. And that's the whole that's what automation is, so that you don't have to try doing that thing anymore, and now your capacities open up to do more new things,
which goes back to, and let's talk about this for a minute, because I know one of the things as an entrepreneur, and a lot of people who follow us are entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs like you. You're wanting to find out how you can generate income and wealth at a high level without dying, without killing yourself, and without being so overwhelmed and burdened. All right. So your goal is to discover what works that I can automate that will produce the desired result.
Yep. Actually, the internal mission statement of our business is to increase income without increasing individual time spent, meaning that we have a team, and our goal is to increase income inside the company and on an individual level for all of our team members without them having to work more hours. And that mission it forces us to create habits inside of the company, or automations inside of the company, so that it can do that. And basically, we have to answer two questions. Anything that comes through, any new client that wants a project done, or any new proposal that comes through the business, we have to consider two things for it to pass. One, does it generate more income? Usually, if you're getting more work, then yes, it does. That's all we used to ever consider is, does it generate more income? Then we started going down this really bad path of working so many hours just to make more money. And then we're like, we got burnt out because we decided, why we don't want to make more money if we can't enjoy it, if we can't enjoy our lives. So we added another check, and it is, does this make more money? Yes, check. Okay, now we can consider the project. Now the next project, or the next thing we have to consider to accept the project is, does this require more time from an individual here? Will this increase the amount of hours they have to work on it? If the answer to that is also yes, then we have to determine, is there a system we can use to automate something we're doing currently so that we no longer have to do that thing, and that can open up time for this new thing. And one thing we implemented was a software called Autopod that allows the cutting of a podcast and the cutting of camera angles to do the cutting for us, which used to take a lot more time from an individual. So we were able to reduce what this does is it forces us to come up with solutions like that, like Autopod. So there's only two things we found that we can do. We either can accept the work or not accept the work. And to accept the work, we have to say, is there a system I can implement to be able to do this project without more time being required? If there is, then we implement it. If there's not, then there's only one other option, and that is to hire someone.
Wow.
And
so,
yeah.
So think of this. What you just described is your mission statement is, we want to produce greater income with less time.
The same amount of time or less time.
The same amount of time. Yep. Okay. And so our guys producing the podcast today should have been jumping up and down, going crazy on that one. Right? But here's an interesting thought on habits. If the organization values this, how can we create more income and not have to take on more and more time to get there?
Right.
What within the context of our organization is automated, not just technologically, but what has become automated mentally, so that we get massive amounts of productivity in as little as time as possible. I'll give you an absolute great illustration. The other day, I'm at my office, and the FedEx guy comes flying through the door, just flying to meet them. And he was like, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," he kind of, the door banged and stuff. I go, "Oh, no problem, man." I said, "You're getting after it." He goes, "I get paid by the day." Boom.
He's gone then.
And
wow.
What I like about that, I mean, I'm sure people have differences of opinions, but I mean, I know our system is set up on the hourly pay, but I've not always been a big believer in that.
Nope.
So he was saying, I get paid by the day. If I get my work done at noon, I got the rest of the day to enjoy.
That's incredible.
Wow, I like that.
Yep.
So he's going to have to ask himself, what habits can he create that automates his system to where he can do 8 hours of work in 6 hours?
You're probably all wondering at this point, how the heck do I create a habit? You still haven't given me the formula to create a habit. We've given you a piece of it, which is a habit has to be fun and repeatable. But if you're still wondering, how can I create a habit? You're actually asking the wrong question, because you cannot create a habit. A habit is a byproduct of something else that you're working on. And I shouldn't say you can't create a habit. I should more say, like, the habit is not what you do. The habit is what you get from doing something, which is discipline. And I think we should talk about that, because that is so powerful. Now, discipline also, one precursor to discipline, you also can't just say you want to become disciplined in something, you actually have to go further back, because anyone that has a habit that got there from discipline is they had an incredibly strong reason. And you also can't just say I'm going to come up with a good reason. You can't come up with a good reason. You have to have a good reason. And a lot of people are trying to come up with a really good reason and then trying to get disciplined and then trying to create habits. It's not possible. You have to first be so enamored and hate something to a level where something just has to change. You have to have a massive problem that you have to solve no matter what the cost is. And to discover that problem, and it basically all stems from,
Well, you're giving away our secret, which we do every week. We give away our secrets. We don't charge from them. But you're really getting into the 5 ideas method of coaching.
Absolutely.
Because it all starts with, what is the real problem?
You have to identify the true problem. And if you don't have that identified, you can forget about everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You can forget about habits. You can forget about discipline. You can forget about anything we've talked about on the show. Because if you haven't identified a problem that makes you so mad or is such a strong problem in your life that you're like, this has to change, you will not be disciplined and you will not form habits, because you can't. There's no reason to. The only reason people become disciplined is because there's a problem so painful that they need to solve that they have to get disciplined. Mm-hmm. And then habit is just a result of discipline, by the way. That automation just comes from the discipline.
Well, in identifying the true problem, right, is a knowledge thing, because you may not know you have a problem.
Exactly.
Like, you can be doing damaging things to your body, to your mind, to your relationships, and think you don't have problems.
Yep.
And get away with it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the end result is something very, very painful, then you start to say, "Ooh, what do I need to do to change this?"
Yep.
I'm killing relationships with my negativity and my insecurity. So you identify a problem.
Yep.
And then, if you want to take us to the second one, what are we going to do after that problem is identified?
Real quick on problems, though.
Okay.
Many people, not all people, many people get to that they only know it's a problem when it's so painful and it's maybe possibly too late to even solve it. And we don't want you to get to that point. But I know a lot of people who are older, or I've heard stories, read books where they get to the end of their life or they get to an older age and their relationships are so damaged beyond repair with their children, it's never going to come back. Their money is so far blown, they're never going to recover from it. And a little secret, it's not little, it's huge, actually. This is the foundation of success right here. This is the foundation of success. If you can look into the future and see someone who has a result that you strongly don't want to repeat. This happens a lot of times with kids who see their parents doing something. Maybe they're an alcoholic, maybe they're abusive, maybe they're financially struggling. They look at their parent. This happens a lot. I know a lot of people who have done this and said, I looked at my parent or my grandparent and I said, I cannot be like that. So that is the foundation right there for wisdom and knowledge. When you can look at something and say, I don't want to experience that, that can be just as powerful as you having to go experience it yourself. It can motivate you in the same way. You can say, if I repeat their same disciplines and achieve their same habits, I'm going to end up like that, and I don't want to. So you can actually go into the future and say, if I do this, I will get that, and I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to do this so that I can get this and get what I actually desire.
Yeah,
That's actually wisdom.
That's perfect. And I have a perfect example of that. I was 14 years old. My dad died of a massive heart attack.
Yes.
Doctors said you have hereditary high cholesterol. So early in life, I didn't.
And that's exactly what caused your dad's heart attack, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I didn't pay a lot of attention to that until now I've got 2 little boys, and the doctor's looking at me and saying, if you don't do something about this, you're not going to be around for them. That became a huge motivating factor at that point.
And you knew it was true because
And
you had lost your father.
I had lived it out. I was the little boy that lost his father.
Yep.
And I didn't want that to repeat. And I think a lot of what you just said is huge in a whole nother sense, and that is breaking things off that have been generational.
Yeah, habits can get passed down. Disciplines get passed. They
are passed down.
Yeah, you get trained. Yeah,
I mean, that's what people do. They learn. They observe. We were talking about that before the show.
Yep, with Peyton.
Yep. But the cool thing is, if you have a desire to break that chain, if something is so strong in you that there's a new direction that you see your life going, a new place that you see your life going.
Yep.
That's when you can start to automate towards that newness.
And that's automation. So really, discipline is the bridge between desire and destination. And you first have to, like we talked about, you have to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And deciding comes from really, really, really strong awareness of, my dad died when I was 14, like Rich just said. I don't want to die when my kids are young. He had a really, really strong awareness that caused him to make a decision. So he identified his true problem. He was fully aware of the outcome. And you basically said, I'm either dying or I'm deciding to make a lifestyle change with my health.
Totally.
There was no in between.
No.
It was one or the other, and you said, I'm not going to die. So you have to identify the true problem, and then that helps you decide. Once you have identified the true problem and it's a strong enough problem, you will make a decision. And that decision
is based on non-negotiable values,
it is,
right?
It is 100%.
And so what was non-negotiable to me was to not leave 2 boys without their dad, to be at their games, and all the stuff that I went through.
Now, discipline is also a byproduct of determining your non-negotiable values, like Rich just said, which is the second step in the 5 Ideas method, which is the coaching method that Rich designed. Discipline.
If you don't have discipline, I would question your value.
Yeah, if you don't have discipline, it's just because.
Tell me it's important to me all you want.
Yeah.
But if you're not disciplining yourself to get there, I would question it.
Yeah, everyone has discipline. Everyone has discipline. But because all discipline is it's an act of you. Discipline is simply
repeating something.
It's an action. It's the action part of the habit. A discipline is the action part that helps you form the habit, and it eventually becomes automated, which discipline eventually turns into a habit. It's at first it's a discipline. And in the beginning, when it's a discipline, it requires some thinking, some thought, some effort, and whatnot.
It requires you to remember why, which is your value.
Exactly. And you can have bad disciplines.
Yes.
Talk us through a couple of examples of a negative discipline. So like Because all a discipline is a repeated action that comes from intention.
Mm-hmm.
So this repeated action that comes from intention, what's a bad intention discipline? Something that could harm you. Maybe not bad, but harmful.
Yeah, the stuff that harms. I think the area that pops up most for most people, and I could talk about little things, little nuances, bad habits that affect your body, but the main thing is the discipline of how you think, the discipline of your mind.
Yep.
You can either either think positively or think negatively.
Yep. And you can
and that people, that is a discipline.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
That's not just, I can't control it. It just no. You make a choice of how you're going to think.
That's so true.
And I tell people all the time that I work with, think about what you're thinking about.
Think about what you're thinking about. That's discipline.
It is.
Yep. That's where all discipline starts.
Because to allow your thoughts, this is really good, to allow your thoughts just to run wild is a lack of discipline.
Yep.
It means you're not disciplining an out of control thought.
Yep.
And thoughts can run out of control and they can take you where you do not want to go.
Absolutely.
But to think about what you're thinking about reels it back in and went, I don't know. I don't think I want to think that. I don't want that thought to govern my actions today.
Yep, exactly. And the action part is where the discipline really has its power. And the thought, disciplining your thoughts is the beginning. So when a thought enters your mind, you can decide, I don't want to think that thought, or I do want to think that thought. I don't want to think about the negative. And that doesn't mean ignore the truth, ignore reality, but just decide what you're going to focus on.
And I got something really good for you too, along that line, to bring it back into habits. So one of the things that I do as a morning habit is I have 5 positive declarations about my life.
Mm-hmm.
And those combat the negative runaway thoughts.
Absolutely.
Because if you wake up, the people that I work with tell me the morning time seems to be a real battleground for their mind.
It's the beginning.
Yeah. They start thinking negatively or down thoughts. So what if you combat that with, here's 5 declarations I'm going to make, positive things about my life. Simple. Today's going to be the best day of my life.
Yep.
No matter what trial or difficulty I face, I know God's with me. He's going to see me through it.
Yep.
That higher faith. You can design your own declarations to come against those negative thoughts.
Absolutely. And you identify the true problem. You determine your non-negotiable values, and those values will determine what you will and will not be willing to settle for. Most people don't know their values, so they're just pulled by thoughts, like Rich just said. And habits really start to get formed in this next step. And I'm going to breeze through these last couple steps. We have a lot of episodes out there that you can watch that are about these. You probably already have heard them if you've watched the show. But you've got step 1, which we've already done, which is to identify the true problem. Then step 2, which is determine your non-negotiable values. And then step 3 is where the habits really start to develop and the discipline really starts to develop, because this is an action, which is to set event-based goals. Now, event-based goals are so much stronger than goals. And I'd almost consider, I don't really love the word goal, because goal insinuates try. And trying is not a thing. It's just a feeling. You just feel it. It's not an actual action item. It has no actual meat. It has no ground. It may happen. It may not happen. You're just trying. And it takes away all accountability. When you say the word, I'm trying, that means you have no accountability to do it. And an event-based goal kills the trying part of the goal and turns it basically into a plan. Like, I'm planning, I'm going to do this, because you're setting an event.
Right.
And a great example we use all the time is signing up for a 5K. If you say, I'm trying to become a runner, Rich will slap you in the face and say, stop trying. And then you'll be like, wait, stop trying. I want to become a runner. Do you want to become a runner, or are you trying to become a runner?
Yeah.
No, I want to become a runner. Okay. Then stop trying.
Right.
Seems completely counterintuitive.
No.
But no, it's not. The trying is counterintuitive. Set yourself up, sign yourself up for a race. Sign yourself up for a 5K, and then train for the 5K. And then you'll be a runner. There's no trying involved. You just do it. And the event-based goal, the event makes you have to train to do the event.
Yeah. And how do you train for an event-based goal is by establishing fun and repeatable habits.
You train for an event-based goal by establishing fun and repeatable
So there's
habits.
no try. Like the great philosopher Yoda, there is no try, only do.
Yeah, there's no trying. And that's why
we take the trying out of it with this method.
And habits is number 4 because there are things that precede it. That's why it's not number 1. We didn't say first you have to develop some good habits.
Right.
Then habits are results of the 3 things that preceded that, which is, again, identify the true problem, determine your non-negotiable values, set event-based goals. Now you have some habits that are automatically happening.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you're training for a 5K, what do you got to do?
You got to run.
You got to run. How often do you got to run?
It depends.
Probably a couple times a week.
But the fact is you've got to run.
And that's a habit now. Are you trying to run, or are you running?
You're just running.
Look at that. You just created a habit.
And it becomes automatic.
It's automatic.
So you may get up in the morning and run at night, but all of a sudden you're doing it without thinking, I got to start the habit of running.
I know what you're thinking. Well, I could easily just not get up and run, and I could easily just back out of the 5K. I could easily just quit. So the system doesn't really work. That's why the 5th step is to implement a system of accountability. Because if this is all so valuable to you and you actually want it, you need to do everything you possibly can to give yourself the best chance of winning possible. And accountability is what ties everything together.
What did I ask you this morning? First thing.
I don't remember.
Are you running?
Am I running? Yeah. Yes.
Have you ran?
I have. And he asked me that this morning. And I coach with Coach Rich Clay, so I have accountability. He holds me accountable every week on our coaching session. He's saying, hey, Joey, you said you wanted to do this in the business last week. How'd that go? I did it, or I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, why didn't you do it?
Right.
Or if we did do it, it's actually a celebration, and we celebrate the win.
Yeah.
And the same thing. Did you do this in your fitness routine that you said you wanted to do because you identified a problem, determine your non-negotiable values, you set an event-based goal, and you're starting to work on implementing the habits.
The fun and repeatable habits.
You've created some fun and repeatable ways to do those things.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing it?
Right.
And he doesn't badger me over the head. He doesn't have to, because I'm the one who wants it.
Well, and it was a natural flow.
Yep.
I wasn't trying to motivate you or trying to make you feel guilty. The way I asked it was like almost, are you having fun?
Yep.
With your running? Because you chose that as something that you were going to do in your plan of how you were going to make certain things a lifestyle.
Because I like running.
You like running, and it
repeatable.
Produces so many good results.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is the genius, the brilliance, and the absolute new thought that Rich has created with this method that is changing my life and basically allowing me to take a goal that most people would take a year to achieve and achieve it every week in between our Friday sessions.
Yeah.
And that will rapidly advance you towards your goals. And so on this episode, what you just learned will absolutely change your life forever, and you just learned it for free. That is the whole purpose of this show. We want you to live an exceedingly abundant life in all of the 5 categories, not just one. And habits, automations are so powerful. Now you know that you have to decide, get disciplined, and then you reach your desired destination inside of habits. And that decision comes from exactly what we just talked about. Knowing the true problem, identifying your non-negotiable values, deciding to set event-based goals. Then the habits come. They just come because they have to.
They do.
And setting up a system of accountability to tie everything up and put a bulletproof vest on what you want in your life. That's it.
Putting a bulletproof vest on through accountability is going to be a podcast.
That is all accountability is. Accountability is putting a bulletproof vest on what you don't want to lose.
I love that. That's powerful.
Probably be our next episode.
It will.
Thank you so much again for joining us on this episode of Rich to Wealthy. And we know you just got one step closer from going from rich to wealthy in your own life. We're so excited to see you on the next episode. In the meantime, stay blessed, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Rich to Wealthy.